The tree fort needs to go. Hey there, everyone. Just wanted to go over a fascinating story about an HOA online, a story that went viral. Some people will be on one side, some people will be on the other on this one, and that's why I found it kind of interesting. Did want to mention ahead of time that we've managed to pick up 15 subscribers now, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. The goal now would be just 20. So, tell your family, tell your friends. Hopefully the YouTube algorithm comes and saves us. And if people want to talk about neighborhoods, HOAs, things of that nature, bad real estate agents, then this is the place. You can get in touch with me, media at deerwoodrealtystl.com or 314-274-3964 if you have a story about, a neighbor or a story about bad real estate agents and things of that nature, HOAs. Please feel free to give me a call, contact me. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is John Schenk, and I am the founder and managing broker of Deerwood Realty here in St. Louis, Missouri. We're a small brokerage, and we focus mainly on St. Louis City, St. Louis County, Jefferson County, and St. Charles County. And yeah, that's where we're at. So I wanted to go over this story. It went viral about a month ago, and I have mixed feelings on it. I've never really felt comfortable about the story. I've thought about it now for like about a month, and how I would present it. And I'm going to present it as I don't know. And what would you do? What are your thoughts? And so, like I said, this was on Reddit, and let me pull that up for you right now. The headline is, Karen decides that children's fun isn't enough of a reason to have a treehouse. And then what it is a fellow was forced to take down a tree fort of some kind, and he's not happy about it. And so he posted a letter on a tree, and then someone posted that up to Reddit. And so I'm going to read it. It's kind of hard for me to read because there's like some glare on it, but we're going to try. So it says, "Dear anonymous passerby, don't worry, you're safe now. Your act of casual cruelty was a success. The complaint you lodged with the HOA was heard. They had me take down the small tree fort that I built on this location with my sons during the pandemic. No longer will its presence offend you. Your walk past my house. Please enjoy your stroll free from the sound of my children's play and laughter. They're safely back inside now watching television, I'm sure. Enjoy the unobstructed view of my backyard. I will try to keep it up to code. Best," and it says, I don't know who that says at the bottom. So that's what we're working with today. And so, I have questions. And I'm curious as to what you guys are going to think about this. I don't exactly know who's in the right. The first question I had is who's in the wrong here? So is it the person who requested this tree fort be removed to their HOA, or is it the person that wrote this letter that says that you ruined my kid's good time? I don't know. If you live in an HOA and there's a rule against having tree forts in your yard, it seems to be on you. If it's selective enforcement that you're upset about, there's 14 other tree forts in the neighborhood, and you're the only one that gets a notice, then that's on the HOA. That's how I see it. You say, well, you need to make an exception. Well, okay. That's your opinion. I'm okay with that. I don't, like I said, I don't have the right answer. The story went viral, and I have a tough time even figuring out exactly what's behind it going viral. It's a pretty clear-cut story. There's no sensationalism. Somebody wrote a letter and they're angry, and the best way to get back at somebody they felt was to, to do this. And so that leads me into my next question, and that's, if you live in an HOA, do you have a responsibility to snitch on your neighbors? And then is the way I phrased it wrong? Should I not say snitch? I have no idea. You would think that someone from the HOA would walk by at some point in time and, see something wrong, and then that's how that gets solved. But do you have an obligation, if you live in an HOA, to rat out your neighbors? I don't know the answer. I would offer that it's possible you might maybe talk to the person beforehand, say, hey, I noticed that this is not part of the HOA, and someone's going to, tell you that you're going to have to take it down, so maybe you might want to do that. But again, the world is crazy, and people, you might get shot for that. So I don't recommend that. Maybe, I don't know. What do you think? And then, will posting to Reddit solve the problem? Is this some sort of revenge? The person who reported the HOA may never even know they were discussed online. And do you think that the person that did tell the HOA, if there was actually a person, do you think they care, or they're sad about your tree fort going away? They just want to get rid of the tree fort. They don't like it. I don't have an opinion. Somebody put a tree fort across the street from me. It'd be fascinating because my neighbors are in their at least 70s, so they're not putting up a tree fort. But maybe that's not something that you would, not something that would fly with you. And so I'm just kind of curious, who's the one being a jerk here? Is it the person that wrote the letter, or the person that wrote the HOA or went to the HOA? And then in the letter, it talks about this person, they built this treehouse during the pandemic with their kids, as if that's a justification for doing it. And my question to you is, does the worldwide pandemic give you license to, do whatever you want? I don't have the answer. It seems like, good judgment would rule the day, but we've seen from some of the stories that good judgment in neighborhoods is not always in full abundance. So in this case, I would ask the question, if there wasn't a pandemic and you built a tree fort and the HOA made you take it down, did the pandemic have anything to do with it? Probably not. Probably not. HOA probably just doesn't want the tree fort in your yard. So that's just what I thought about that. And then he writes, enjoy the view of my backyard. I will try to keep it up to code. And I would point out that the code and the HOA are two different things. Building code is totally different than the HOA. Probably are in violation of the code, building code, just building a tree fort. You didn't pull any permits or anything like that. But trying to keep something up to code and trying to keep something up to the HOA standards are two different things. As we saw last week, the fellow with the bench, he just wanted a place to sit. That wasn't going to work with that HOA, and that was selective enforcement. And I did have a problem with that. That was bad. This is, you decided to build a tree fort. You're mad that somebody told you to take it down. And so you're going to take it out on, whoever, by writing this letter and posting it. So like I said, I'm more bewildered by the article or by the response than anything else. And I'd be curious to what you thought. And then the last thing is, and this is going to come up, I know of another story that's about a measurement that's 1.5 feet, and that's causing all kinds of issues between neighbors. But the fellow writes, it's a small tree fort. And my question would be, would it matter if it was a large tree fort? Or how big is small and how big is big, you know, it's all relative. And I think one of the main issues I have in general is this idea of, well, this particular number is the right number. So, for instance, during the coronavirus, what was it, 6 feet away from the person for social distancing? Why not 7? Why not 5? And then someone was going to come in and say, well, there was, detailed scientific evidence that that was going to be the right distance. That's malarkey. We often come up with solutions and then use numbers to justify them. In this case, it doesn't. To me, it doesn't seem like it would matter if it was a small tree fort or a large tree fort. The HOA didn't want it in the backyard, so they wrote a letter, or they, just went and said, "You need to get rid of this." So is this a case of the HOA gone wild? Is this a case of someone feeling that they deserve the right to build a tree fort in their neighborhood, even though it's against the HOA rules? What do you think? I mean, there's times when there's going to be flagrant HOA, jerks, no question. But in this case, were they being the jerk? Were they being the bad person? And it's kind of fascinating to me that the letter doesn't attack the HOA. It attacks the person behind, the complaint. So is that well, obviously it's an admission of guilt. So anyway, that's what I have for you today. It's a fascinating story. Would this be something that you would consider it should go viral? What would you do in this situation? I mean, are we pro tree fort? And then are we pro tree fort during the pandemic, but not any other time? Just there's a lot there in a very small amount of words. So that's all I have today. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.